So the possibly last question of the night before you wrap up. The county commissioner seats have this has been mentioned already. We've talked about people impersonating ecclesiastical leaders and others. The county commissioner seats have been for years fraught with corruption, shady dealings, and even candidates with criminal and immorality issues. I know that if asked, all of you will promise to maintain integrity and remain uncorrupted. But promising that and actually following through have proven to be two different things. What is there in your personal life or daily habits or in your future proactive plans that can help to reassure us that we are electing virtuous and trustworthy officials?
First of all, I want to explain a little bit about how I got into this process. I had a couple people in my neighborhood ask me to run for commissioner. I told them I didn't want to because I hate politicians. And then a couple days later, I had Mike McKell come to my house and ask me what he needed to do to get me to run. And he supported me in this, and I can guarantee he did it because he ran a background check on me, because Mike's thorough with those type of things. And so that's been done. Specifically in relationship to who I am as a character, I can tell you something very important about the way I was raised. I was raised to not be a respecter of persons. I don't care who you are or where you're from. That's not going to influence my decision about whether something's right or wrong. In my line of work, I deal with clients that have millions and millions of dollars. I deal with clients that scrape together to give me $800 a month to train their horse. Everybody's horse gets out 5-6 times a week, gets worked, no matter what your background is or who you're from. And that's just how I've been raised. You treat people the same, and it don't matter who they are, they don't influence you.
That's a question that winds up having to have an awful lot of trust in the people. My background includes working really large-scale projects and dealing with the people in the State Department in Washington, D.C., and that's a slime pit. I can just tell you that is one really corrupt area. I've got a reputation even there that I'm not interested in lobbyists, I'm not interested in corporate money, I'm not interested in the different areas. I've always used the measure, going back to the oath that I took, where is this in relationship to who I'm supposed to be representing, and anytime I'm doing something in a government position, whether as a contractor, working as an advocate for the government, whatever it happens to be, the people come first. When somebody asks, is it really all about you? Really? The answer is yes, it is. It's all about you.
I don't know if there's any sort of integrity test that you can give someone and really, I mean, even lie detector tests can be affected. I've always been kind of an old school person that you can do a deal on a handshake, and I've taught my kids consistently that telling the truth is more important than being right or wrong. I will look anybody in the eye and tell you that if I make a campaign promise or pledge that I can keep, and there are some that, you know, I really don't know, because sometimes there are going to be things that come up that I don't know about, but I can tell you that I'm not for sale. I can tell you that if you look me in the eye and ask me a question, I'm going to tell you the truth, even if we differ on our opinions. We can work through differences of opinions as long as we're being honest with each other. The minute that I start to try to tell you something that you want to hear, we cheat the process and cheat the citizens.
The best thing that was ever done for my character values and my integrity was being born to Sharon Ethelyn Vokes, the most wonderful mother that I've ever seen, who's a wonderful example to our family, and we love my mom. And the reason is every day, my brother is here and he can tell you, every single day, with almost a tedious approach, my mom would recite various character values, including and specifically integrity. And she would remind us to thank the lunch lady, be polite at school, reach out to the kid that doesn't have a friend. Those were the values of our family. Those are the ways that we were taught. I think sometimes people wonder, how has Casey had this kind of political involvement? What is he doing? Being raised by a woman who understood that the hand that rocks the cradle is the hand that rules the world. That's the way that I ended up in these roles, and that's the way that I end up taking the banner forward on these fights. Thank you.
I would just say for me that I have a track record of 50 years of being, you know, that's how old I am. So I feel like I've had integrity my whole life. It's a part of my core value. It's part of my faith, and it's very important to me. And there's no question that there's been some tarnish to the commission and what it means and the people that are in it. And that's one of the reasons that I felt like I needed to step into this. And that's in humility I say that, because it's hard to talk about yourself in those kinds of ways. But I made it a point, even in my campaign, if you go on my website, and the people that endorse me, I'm not really heading for the big ones. The people that are in office and things like that, I've tried to say, go to my neighbor, have him endorse me, and put his name on me, the people that know me best. And so it's part of who I am. It's part of how I'll stay, no matter what. Thank you.
At this point in time, that will be the close of questions. There are many, many more questions that we can ask, but one of the hopes that I have is that through this process, you have an idea of who the candidates are, and now you can follow up with more specific questions. We want to give you time to talk with them after you've heard from them and maybe follow up on some of their answers or some of the other issues. There are a lot of other big issues, and I'm sure they're quick to tell you about them. We're at a point where we need to close now, so we'll give you 1 minute to give your final summary speech.
Appreciate being here with you and for your coming out, because you're the voice of that is representing your communities as delegates. The Constitution, to me, is a vital part of what our country is. And when I look at our platform, and when you're looking at vetting candidates, if you want a checklist, the Republican platform for this county meshes ideally with the Constitution. It talks about family. It talks about educating our children, proper role of parents in the education, talks about the role of to the different areas that are associated with our platform, because it gives you a really good guideline to judge the character and the responses that are given by the people that you're vetting. Thank you.
I love this county. I love this country. I have committed myself to making a difference, whether it's in my professional job or as a concerned citizen, getting involved in issues that matter to my community and my family. As a triathlete, I've done several Ironman races, and I spent a lot of time and effort. I'm not afraid of hard work. I'm going to bring that same spirit, that same passion, and I'm going to be the hardest working commissioner that this county has ever had. I will be at every single committee assignment meeting. I will work with every department head and every staff member to the best of my ability, not just during the hours that I'm supposed to be in the office, but after hours with you, after hours with them, doing whatever it takes to make sure that your tax dollars are well spent, that the services that we provide to you are done in the most cost-effective and efficient manner possible, so that ultimately at the end of the day, when I go to bed at night, I know that I've done my best for you.
In summary, for my remarks tonight, I invite you to please go to my website, caseyvokes.com. That will give you a detail on many details on my positions on many different issues. But I think that my life, especially the time that I've been involved in the community, whether it was my 4,000 volunteer hours at Christa McAuliffe Space Education Center growing up, or it's the thousands of hours that I gave as the party chairman or as a volunteer campaign manager for Mia Love when nobody knew who she was. That time and that record, I think, speaks to who I am and what I stand for. So I invite you to please never just place implicit confidence in your public servants, whether it's the people that are running for office here or whoever. Make sure that you scrutinize their conduct, scrutinize their past, look at who they are, look at who they've been, and look at what they stand for and what they claim they'll fight for. I'm a consistent conservative. There's nothing about being a campaign conservative that appeals to me.
What would I have you remember me from, the last thing? And I would just say, in the county, I see the dynamics. You have 3 commissioners currently. We wouldn't think it would stay that way. And so I would just want you to know that I'm a very independent person in the way that I think. I am very methodical. I take in a lot of information and data. I'm not afraid to go to staff. It's how I've operated in my city and in my business, and just get down into the brass tacks of really what a decision is. And then I make that decision, and I do it with decorum, and I represent things, and I think with a statesman-like attitude. And so I just want you to know that in me, I think you'll get a leader that you'll be proud of. I won't embarrass you. I'll be inclusive, and I just would like to think that would be the stamp that I would leave any kind of a public service or with my family or in my church or whatever it might be. Thank you.
When I was a kid, our cattle pen had two different sections, a big holding area and a little small area where you worked the cattle into the squeeze chute. And it had about a 500-pound blue gate that had broken hinges, so my dad had put all 50 pounds of me there, armed with a 2x4, and my job was to turn, a raging mad cow back in and not let it get by me. When I stood there, it was scary to see something coming at me like that, but my dad taught me, and I learned from those things, that when we stand with courage and we swing with all we got, we can turn scary things away and succeed. When we look at the federal overreach and the overreach of government and its improper role, the erosion of our rights and liberties that are happening daily, it's scary. But I can guarantee you with absolute confidence in my heart, I've taken on scary things my whole life, I've stood courageously, and I've swung that 2x4, and as your commissioner, I will stand in that gate, I will swing that 2x4, and we will beat back this oppression from the federal government and its overreach into our lives so we can live the American dream.
Thank you so much for being here today. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here, and you can add microphone juggling to your resume. So I really appreciate all the effort you made to be here, and I see you diligently taking notes. You guys are the best. I really appreciate all the research you're putting into these candidates, and thank you again. And feel free to go out to the foyer and speak with them personally.